Smartsky has been one of the major players, or one of the major names that's been coming up more and more when it comes to what we're doing with our airplanes, how we're getting more value of them. We're happy to have Brit here to talk to Brit Wanick to talk to us about where Smartsky is, what's going on, and more important, where are you going?
Well, I appreciate that.
If
Thanks.
I can just keep speaking.
Yeah.
Throat's just starting to clutch up on me there.
Yeah, no worries. 3 days, 3 days of a trade show. We're a little out of practice, and but certainly happy to be back here at AEA this year and talk a little bit about Smartsky. So, yes, we've been in the market for some time now. Launched back at NBAA in 2021, and moving into 2022, we're moving towards full CONUS coverage here at the end of next quarter. Which, wow, that's like right around tomorrow, right?
TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok. So it's moving very quickly. So we are actively selling ship sets and getting ready to support service across a variety of aircraft. You might have heard a few days ago we launched with Fly Exclusive as one of our first fleet customers, and we're looking forward to more coming on board. From where we are as a capabilities perspective, right? Continue to deliver on the promise of what connectivity can mean for the back of the aircraft, but I would argue that's really kind of 1/3 of it, right? We're very used to seeing videos and with people looking at their iPhones or doing office-like work in the back. Maybe they're Zooming or they're watching Netflix, right? But there's a whole 2/3 more of the aircraft that is the aircraft itself, as well as the cabin, the crew, the cockpit, operations, and then even the people here that are providing maintenance and repair operations. They need data. Right, and as we open up these capabilities and add to the amount of bandwidth and the real-time nature of what we can do, we see real opportunity in being able to support the community better from an operations and from a maintenance perspective, as well as from the cabin and those in the back of the aircraft.
You are in a very competitive segment.
Yep.
What differentiates Smartsky? Why are you what you are? Why are you different? What gives you, to your mind, the competitive advantage?
Certainly. So we talk a lot about experience, right, and a consistent experience, and I would boil it down to this, is that when you get on an aircraft at the beginning of the day, business or commercial, you have a certain set of expectations about things you're going to be able to get done. And our goal is that when you step off that aircraft, they're done, right? There's no rushing into the FBO so you can send that email that you weren't able to, or taking that one voice call because you couldn't get through when you're on the plane. Those expectations are met, right? And so we've developed the technology, patented that, and created a system that has those capacities to deliver very consistently across the continental United States. So job number one is that consistent, dependable, and responsive experience, right? When you look at the company as a whole, though, right, we're innovators, right? It's a part of our DNA, and we're going to continue to push the envelope with how we deliver and the services behind that. So we also offer, essentially 3 core capabilities. One is that network and the capacity to it. 2 is the hardware to connect to it. And then the third component is bringing services to bear. So we have the SkyTelligence applications and services layer that allows our partners to deliver best in service or best in value to the community. It's not something that Smartsky itself develops, but we help bring our partners in. So another differentiator there is allowing a freedom of choice and interoperability across the wide ecosystem of available services that exist in both commercial and business aviation.
I mentioned how competitive it is right now, and there's a lot of promises being made and a lot of expectations, especially in an industry that is drunk with having capabilities it didn't have just a few years ago and wanting more and more and more as we go on, especially as the aircraft continues to prove itself a stunning business tool in so many ways, and especially in a world that gets smaller and smaller by the day.
Right.
And Zoom isn't quite doing it, even though the Zoom call may these days be on board the airplane.
Yeah.
Where do you see Smartsky going? What is the future for your technology, your company, and what the services you provide your clientele?
Sure. So job one right now is to get to market with what we said we were going to do, which is to complete the CONUS deployment. We're focused on our flagship capability in the business aviation market. That's for essentially mid-size and above, but you will see later this year we do intend to launch our light product, which is aimed at the very light jet and smaller market. And it's a different configuration that frankly opens up many doors to us and attaches to an underserved market that has just as much a need as any others, right? So you'll see us focus there. We do have the ability to eventually expand internationally as well. But then when you look at things like advanced air mobility, you can point to some of the activity we have with GE Aviation and Mosaic where we're looking at cloud-based FMS, right? Because we offer a very responsive and high throughput system, we can now look at taking data off the aircraft, processing it on the ground or in the cloud, which is a bit of a misnomer, and then moving it back to the aircraft in real time. So ideas around piloted or augmented pilots or the abilities to achieve things that we talk about in advanced air mobility, where I might be able to have an air taxi, they won't happen without our type of technology and bringing that to market. So you'll continue to see us push into those spaces, develop thought leadership, continue our activities around things like cloud FMS, situational awareness, common operating pictures and the like, that really take advantage of this amazing network that we're bringing to bear.
Can the technology support the demand?
I certainly think it can. I will say this, whatever we provide from a capabilities perspective, there will always be demand for more. To point to the opening ceremonies and the like, a few years ago, we didn't even know the name of TikTok, but now there's 178 million videos every minute, right?
Yeah.
So whatever we provide, we found that the water will rise to its own level there. The challenge, I think, is to make sure that the services we bring to bear first are selectively chosen from the right partners and showing them a path that enables them to get there faster. We're not afraid to make mistakes. We're not afraid to have our partners make mistakes, but that success has to then be followed with, I made a mistake, I'm now changing and moving to the next thing. That accelerant is what we're offering through the network and through the platforms that we're providing from a service perspective. That's what's going to help satiate some of that hunger for delivering on aviation's digital transformation, as they say.
Interesting. Well, as you are getting ready for full CONUS deployment, obviously the testing process and the survey process upon a potential clientele has to have been extraordinarily educational. What are you learning right now from the last lap, shall we say, toward completion?
Yes, yeah. So the longest mile is always the last mile, right? So I think there's a couple of things.
But the one you never forget either.
Yeah, you learn a lot in it, and every aircraft is unique to the mission and the specific nature of what the owner or the operator or the fleet manager needs. And what we're learning is that interoperability across a variety of those platforms is really a key aspect of it, right? So we work with different router providers. We have our own service providers. So this horizontal or channel-driven or value-added reseller model, I think, is a very important and powerful tool to help bring together the community in a way that helps deliver on a service. And as we're engaging with first customers and our first MROs and deploying, it's a fun collaboration that's happening, and there's some good people really leaning forward, and that's an exciting way to bring something new to market. And I think as we get through this last kind of hurdles of deploying the network, the hard work of development and being able to take this approach both from a business and a technology perspective is really starting to pay off.
How pivotal will things like the FlySense deployment be, especially this early in the game? You're not quite done yet, so
yeah,
that's kind of a big announcement when you're still
early days, right?
Baking the cake,
Yeah, it's initial customers are your partners, right? And we've had some from the very early days that have supported us, and Fly Exclusive leans forward. They're looking for innovation. They have a positive business model where they're going to deliver change and something special to their customers, and we're happy to be a part of that.
It's we've come from this 2.5 years of challenge, and it was an interesting time for the avionics industry because there was actually a fair amount of business being done because of people's airplanes were down.
Yeah.
And so now was the time to get a panel, now was the time to get an engine, now was the time to do this and that. And all that was well and good. But the industry right now is suffering from two different issues that we've been discussing with each guest by and large. One was the supply chain issue, and two was finding the kind of talent necessary to staff the companies. In this particular case, we've almost joked about making it a drinking game today with how many times we're going to say supply chain issues. Is that affecting you at this point, and what are you doing about it?
Yeah, so I think it'd be a fallacy to say that we're immune to what's happening in the global marketplace. We certainly are impacted by that, and it's not so much decisions on our own or in our own supply chain, but those of our customers, right? And so it does define how we go to business, right? Do we have hardware available? Are we ready to go to market? Do we have the things we need? Yes. Do we have long-term visibility that to a year from now and how the supply chain is going to play out? I think we're in the same camp of everyone. We're essentially preparing for what we think will be a difficult situation and making sure that we're ready for that as we continue to scale up the company. The net of that, though, is that we understand these things and we're looking at them much the way that anybody else would, right? So supply chain is an issue for us. It does affect the way that we engage with the market and from a timing perspective, but we feel prepared to be able to handle it. On the second nature of having the people there that are available, I would point to the fact that we do think education is a key element. We are bringing something new, and connectivity is often misunderstood. So getting our arms around those people that are putting it into action, if you will, whether it be the aviation maintenance technician on the shop floor or the actual pilot themselves or the crew in the back, right? I think education is a key element to help augment and be a force multiplier for that. Additionally, we as a company have an opportunity to use our place in the market through the promotion of our own people, through the promotion of educational facilities, to really show people that there's some exciting things going on here, right? Aviation isn't stuck in the 1970s anymore. It is a time for digital change, for data, for analysis, for new developments, and we're at the forefront of bringing that to bear.
The pace of technological innovation right now is beyond belief. It really is extraordinary, and what was a crazy idea just a few years ago is not only reality now, it's starting to get a little dated and we're on to the next thing. It's extraordinary to watch and fun to watch. At the point at which you go to full CONUS deployment, what's the fleet going to look like at that point, and what kind of growth do you forecast over the preceding years?
Good question. No crystal balls here and the like, but certainly our goal is to add more users here as quickly as we can based on the demand that's out there in the marketplace. As you mentioned earlier, right, there's a tremendous amount of growth. Many aircraft that we thought were going to be retired during the COVID era have actually come back into service, right, and are being retrofitted. So I don't have a clear picture as to how large that number is going to be. Add to it that we do plan to launch the light product in the second half of the year, and that is a much broader market beyond just the mid-size and above jets. So we expect that to expand relatively quickly. And then the third thing is we do have digital solutions customers today that are expanding in the market. They're the peripheral players in the ecosystem, right? The maintenance repair organizations that are using the output of our systems to be able to expand their own operations and improve those. So all three of those together end up being a very robust ecosystem that we support and have services for by the end of the year.
And in your initial deployments, what kind of equipment are you starting with there? I'm just curious to get a little idea for who the early adopters are and what they're flying.
Yeah, so we have several STCs available for a variety of aircraft today on common platforms. I'm not going to name them off here. You can go to our website and check that out. But obviously we fly our own Citation and the like, and we understand where the bulk of the majority of the market is and what their needs are there. That relies today on our flagship product, which essentially has two antennas and the onboard radio, and then connects to the systems as needed for the aircraft itself. And the light product will follow suit, but it will be a single antenna.
Interesting. And what will be the difference in capabilities between the two?
Same network, same performance. We expect that it'll be a different service associated with
Gotcha.
that, essentially. But in very specifics, the antenna, the FDQ antenna that we utilize in light is both transmit and receive, where the high performance blade is a receive only antenna, provides that additional capability for more users on the aircraft.
Brett, we sure appreciate spending time with us here, and my apologies for my voice and
No worries.
Screwing up a name or two here. It's been a long week. I can barely talk at this point. We would appreciate being kept up to date, especially as you reach full CONUS deployment. Let us know about that, of course, and be happy to cover that event when it occurs. And let's for sure catch up at MBAA and see how progress is going at that point. We will be there in a big way.
Yep.
So we've been covering that event extensively for all 25 years of Aero-News. And somewhere down the line, maybe we'll be pushing news out to some of your customers down the line.
Well, I'd love to see that happen, and we'll certainly be back to you between now and the end of June talking about the full CONUS completion and looking ahead to the second or third and fourth quarters. So they will be really exciting for us.
Smartsky VP Brit Wanick telling us about even more of aviation's bright future.
News Network's coverage of the 65th Annual AEA International Convention and Trade Show, live from New Orleans, is brought to you in part by the following sponsors: